எதன் கண்ணே நிலையாகி இருந்திடும் உலகமெல்லாம் எதனின்று அனைத்துலகும் எழுமோ மற்றிவையாவும் எதன் பொருட்டா எதனால் வையமெல்லாம் எழுந்திடும் எல்லாமும் எதுவேயாகும் அதுதானே குணபொருளாம் சத்தியமாம் அச்சுருபம் அகத்தில் வைப்பார். எழுத்தறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தெங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எணாதோர் எழுத்தறிந்தன் சத்தங்கொள்ளெந்திரத்தின் சால்புற்றார் சோணகிரி வித்தகனே வேறார் விளம்பு. எழுத்தறிந்த தாம் பிறந்ததெங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எணாதோர் எழுத்தறிந்தன் சத்தங்கொள்ளெந்திரத்தின் சால்புற்றார் சோணகிரி வித்தகனே வேறார் விளம்பு. Namo Ramana. By Bhagavan's immense grace, we are coming to the middle of the segment of Ulladu and the dangers of Ulladu, the seeking of fame. We are coming to the middle of that segment. One more verse on Ulladu, and then that will be followed by 2 verses on fame, the dangers of fame. As we have seen in Ulladu Narpadu, we don't find this segment. We don't find this segment on the dangers of Shastra Vasana and the dangers of seeking fame, which is evaluated by the intellect as something desirable. The obvious reason for that is that the whole work Ulladu Narpadu is to take the ego to the source. So whatever thought arises, irrespective of whether it is about Loka Vasana or Sambandha Vasana or Shastra Vasana, it doesn't matter. The Brahmastram is uniformly obliterating in nature. It will destroy the Vasana by asking, for whom is this thought? The thought is for me. Who am I? The ego is taken to the source. So we found that Ulladu Narpadu did not need this warning. Whereas the Anubandham is, we saw those verses mainly selected from scriptures, which of course indicate the mainstream nature of Bhagavan's teachings. That Bhagavan's teachings is part and parcel of the mainstream of spiritual teachings. It is not a maverick path. It is not a path which takes its own bylane and sometimes joins with the mainstream. It is right in the middle of the mainstream. It includes all the sadhanas And strangely or not so strangely, it covers the maverick paths also. Doesn't leave anybody out of its ambit. Even the yoga brashtas who have fallen in yoga, tapo brashtas, they will find Atmavicharam as the bridge, as the relief that will bring them to the self. Now let us go into this verse. This verse is again on the book learning. As in the previous verse, Makkal Manaini Mudal, Matravargal, Arpamadi, Makkatko, Udumbam, Manave, Mikka Kalvi, Ullavardam, Ullatte, Ondralapal, Nur Kudumbam, Ulladu Yogatadayai Vor. So we had seen that for the simpletons, for the simple people, the family of wife or husband, the children, and a few dear ones with whom they are attached, that forms the family. In fact, when this Atmavicharam had taken hold, the only thoughts that would come to me in the initial stages in Tiruvannamalai to wipe off in Atmavicharam would be about Makkal, Manaivi, and Thai. My mother, wife, and child. These thoughts only would come. So Atmavicharam makes you a simpleton and then removes that also by grace. These are the only thoughts that would come. And those thoughts also had to be wiped off, because who is taking care? Really, it is the Ishvara who is taking care, not the Jiva. Therefore, the thoughts can be left and must be. But back to this verse, having seen how the previous verse was also on the dangers of Nur Kalvi. Why so? It is very easy to detect how our mind goes. And suppose I am a specialist in law, or specialist in banking, or a specialist in finance. Whenever somebody asks anything related to finance, what is going to happen to my pension? What is going to happen to my taxes? Then immediately I am the one who knows the solutions. That when I know the scriptures, I know the teachings of a particular teacher inside out, then it could be that I am merely mouthing the replies given by the master and not out of Anubandham, not out of yoga. That is what we saw previously. In fact, I had messaged an example of a nutritionist, a person who has a degree in nutrition. We find that if they take their studies too seriously, then there is a lot of problems with the vendor who brings vegetables. In where he had procured it, what was the degree of pesticides that have gone into it. Then there is the fight with the restaurant chef or the waiter for having over-fried, put more oil, less oil. All these are there. We find because of the knowledge and the fear, it sometimes becomes very obvious how the Nur Kalvi can be a bondage. And it is more so in the area of Shastras. Because we may mistake, as Ganapati Muni says, in Chatvarimshat, he says that these are times when the intellect mistakes intellectual knowledge for liberation. And only you have to say, oh Shanmuga, in Ramana form, says Chatvarimshat, Ganapati Muni. In this verse, எழுத்து அறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்று எண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எழாதோர் எழுத்தறிந்தன். So we can begin with எழுத்து அறிந்து எண். What is the use of all the learning? There the எழுத்து stands for the multifarious books we have digested. The digested and kept in. So whenever somebody would say, I accept, to my mind, the quote from William J. Anson will come. Acceptance is to offer what a lighted matchstick is to a train of gunpowder. In contract law, that will be one of the quotations. So as soon as the word acceptance comes somewhere, that is the quote that will come. And like that, there were many Latin terms, many legal terms, because I had a great love for law because it had given me very good marks. And there was a lot of love for that. Whenever the words would appear, then immediately the quotes from those various situations in the books would come and occupy my mind. So it is very easy to see how the letter. Here, Edutharindan, what is the use of knowing all that law? The Contract Act, the various business laws, and scoring first mark in all of them. What is the use, asked Bhagavan, if one does not come to this point of எழுத்து அறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எழாது. What is the use of all that book learning if one does not come to this point in life where எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எழாதோர்? This எழுத்து is தலையெழுத்து, is the fate, is the destiny, where Bhagavan says in the teachings to Amma, the first teachings that we find, which is so clear that our prarabdha prakaram அதற்கானவன் ஆங்காங்கு இருந்து ஆட்டுவிப்பான். Our prarabdha. When the creation is consisting of so many individual beings, whether great or small or minor or whatever they may be, according to their prarabdha script, the Ishvara residing within them is not residing. Don't consider him to be residing somewhere and driving them. He is very much within them and releasing one thought after another, which they take seriously and run after and hold, and we all the prarabdha karmas, our prarabdha prakaram, adarkana Ishwaran, adarkanavan, aangange irundu. So he is the ever existing one. So the adhara for all the individuals existing is that the Ishvara is there within them. Adarkanavan, aangange irundu aatuvippan. When he is doing the shaking, who will not be shaken? Endrum nadavadadu, en muyarchikkunum nadavadu. That which is not to happen will not happen, try what you may. Nadapadu entadai seyyinum nilladu. That which is to happen will happen, try however much you may to stop it. Iduve thinnam. This is certain, says Bhagavan, that prarabdha is the driver for all actions. Agalin maunama irukku nandru. Therefore, to remain silent, to remain still, be still, being still is the best course of action. Many will feel this is defeatist. No, this is the ultimate empowerment, because Bhagavan is saying prarabdha can be overcome. Prarabdha is not all powerful. There is something that can overcome that if one remains still. If one takes heed of the Guru Upadesha and remains still with his grace, then that prarabdha is crossed, says Bhagavan. So it is not a submissive statement, it is not a passive statement. It is the statement of highest empowerment that Bhagavan has given us. Now, that is the eluthu, that is the fate, what God has written as soon as a creature is created. There is this discussion between Bhagavan and Devraj Mudaliar, which we find in Devraj Mudaliar's reminiscences. Tayum Tandayum Niye, or the title slips me, but in the reminiscences we find one remarkable incident, though it takes place in a very simple setting of a summer day in the meditation hall. Somehow Devraj Mudaliar finds himself in the lone company of Bhagavan, and as it is summer, they must be having some visiri, some fan in hand. And Devraj Mudaliar asks this question. He says, "Oh Bhagavan, I understand clearly now, having lived so long and been with you, I understand that the parents to whom I am born, what will be my education, where I will get employed, to whom I will get married, who will be my children, and when the date on which I will pass away, these are written by God. These are written already in my prarabdha. I am having no doubt about that now. However, now I am taking this fan and keeping it down. I am taking this handheld fan and keeping it down. Is this also written?" asks Devraj Mudaliar, and Bhagavan says, "Certainly, Innamaga, certainly." And he gives a beautiful explanation. As soon as a body is created, whatever the body may be, whether gross, subtle or causal, as soon as a body is created, whatever it has to do and whatever it has to experience have already been written. So both are karmas. The doing and experiencing are karmas, and they are written down. The speaking and listening. Speaking is clearly doing, and hearing is said to be experiencing. Both are written. So in Bhagavan's prarabdha, there is no that feeling that the experiencing or feeling is better. One has to go beyond that also. Many teachings of meditation will use the difference between doing and experiencing. They will say that better than seeing actively with desire and hearing with motivation is listening without judgment. So they will take the act of listening and remove judgment from that and say that that will bring to meditation, because experiencing is easier to turn inward than the act of doing. But in Bhagavan, that difference is not there. One has to, whether doing or experiencing, it is both karma, and one has to ask for whom is this and go in. So that is prarabdham. The prarabdham is, the eluthu is as scripted by Ishvara. As soon as a body is created, whatever it has to do, whatever it has to experience is written, says Bhagavan. And Devraj Mudaliar of course asks, then what is the freedom we have? Bhagavan says, the only freedom we have is to inquire who we are and know that we are not his karmi or the worlds in which the karmi is bound. We are the self. Okay, that is the freedom. What is the responsibility? What is it that we have to do to the world which has given us so much? What is the responsibility? Bhagavan says responsibility is also that. In Atma Dhyana, duty and responsibility merge. These are not two different things. They are one and the same. Finding the self, finding the jnana and abiding in the jnana is the only freedom, and as well as the responsibility that a jiva has. So that is the prarabdha, that which is scripted on the forehead. Thalai eluthu, எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண்ணாதோர். எழுத்தறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண்ணாதோர். எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண்ணாதோர் is எழுத்தறிந்தன். What is the use of any kind of learning? What is the use of remembering William J. Anson? When acceptance means surrender, why go to acceptance for contract act? That is the Nularivan. Then how much ever I learned there, it is going to be according to the script. It is going to be according to the prarabdha. It is going to be according to the bondage that has been given. So therefore what Bhagavan says, the acme of learning, or the very purpose of learning, or the intelligence in having gone through all the books, lies in that intuition that one gets that no, I should somehow get the Guru, I should somehow get the Guru's grace, so that this script I am free of. எழுத்து அறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண்ணாது. So that how to remove the prarabdha, also Bhagavan gives the clue. How to remove the script, where that which is to be done, that which is to be experienced, both are scripted. Now how to remove that? Bhagavan says, he gives the clue. எழுத்து அறிந்த தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்றெண்ணி. What is the thing one should inquire? What is the place from which this learned fool is born? From which this learned ego, which has always valued the false recordings, which are repeated time and again, and got trapped in that. From where am I born? From whence am I born? எழுத்து அறிந்த நான் பிறந்தது எங்கே? All these books and scriptures that I have learned by heart, as soon as some person says some date, I will know what all are the things in that day. But how to remove that writing, that Kalayeduthu, எழுத்து அறிந்த நான், that ego, நான் பிறந்தது எங்கே? As soon as something relating to my knowledge comes, okay, according to section so and so of Income Tax Act, the let out property, we will get allowance for repairs and maintenance of 1/6, like this. As soon as somebody in the road is speaking about let out property income tax, my knowledge will go to that segment. But now what I should do, that is prarabdham. As soon as somebody is talking about that section, this is going, how can I tell them, don't miss this 1/6, you will get deduction. You put that and claim it. Have you? Did you claim in that self-assessed property? It is like this. In the let-out property, it is like this. In dhyana hour, in yoga hour, when that comes, what I have to do? I have to inquire, for whom is this thought? Because that is prarabdham. That is the fate that those thoughts have come. எழுத்தறிந்த நான் பிறந்தது எங்கே? From where am I born? When I ask, the attachment to that thought is dropped. So, this is where the teaching to Pierce comes. Where the principal Pierce, as we discussed in the last session, he asks that I am a principal of a school which is teaching books and books and books and books of knowledge, reams of knowledge, and you are asking me and telling me that those who are not learned are better off. Does it mean that I should take voluntary retirement now and tell the students that at some point they have to leave this stream and go there? Bhagavan says no. It is only the pride of learning, that means the attachment to the learning, that one should free oneself of. The Sahaja Samadhi is of such nature that even when those thoughts are going on, even when we are sitting in the job of an income tax consultant and referring to the right sections, to the right person, one is clear that the Atma is unaffected by any of these. The prarabdha only affects the one who is attached to it, who feels that is real. Whereas to one whom this purana is always naturally going on, aham, 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 the performance of the duty to put a little bit of tamarind water to put a little bit of turmeric, to put a little bit of uppu in your sambar and make a proper sambar, that also requires knowledge. What kind of puli, whether black puli or red puli, all this is knowledge. When does that block? It blocks only when we make an attachment to it. Oh, what a great sambar I am making. I know all the sambars in the YouTube list. And I have particularly expertise in the Karnataka sambar. And nobody knows what is to be put after what, exactly what is the role of heat, what is the role of salt, what is the role of other things. I am so clearly aware. This, when we have, that blocks yoga. Because the attachment and feeling that knowledge about the things is real, it blocks the yoga within. Yoga tadayai or. In the previous verse, Bhagavan says, each of that knowledge segments, if I make a fuss about it, that becomes a block for the yoga. In this verse, Bhagavan comes from the humility of the previous verse to tell us that humility should lead us to the understanding that if not removed, we are all stuck in the cage called prarabdha. That is very easy to see that, as we saw about Tiruvalluvar or the great ones, the great learned ones, when they come to the apex of a field, like Muruganaraswamy, they really get humbled. They get humbled by the really great ones who have knowledge of the Supreme. They look across, come to the apex of Tamil and see there are 1,000 languages to know. There are 1,000 fields in science. There is 1,000 fields in humanities to know. So that is not the way in which one is going to get scholarship. The real scholar is the one who understands that this whole script that has been written on my forehead has to be removed, offered back to the one who is ordained. How to do that? Is to ask, from where am I born, who has all this possession of knowledge of scriptures? எழுத்தறிந்து தாம் பிறந்தது எங்கே என்றெண்ணி எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண். If we don't do that, if we are not alert enough to come to this point, what are we? We are mere gramophone players, says Bhagavan. சத்தங்குள் எந்திரத்தின் சால்புற்றார் சோழகிரி வித்தகனே வேறார் விளம்பு. சோழகிரி வித்தகனே, referring to Arunachala. Who else are they who merely parade their intellectual, scriptural or bookish knowledge? They are merely gramophone records, repeating what they know again and again, says Bhagavan. A little bit of inquiry shows us that everyone, not only the learned ones, everyone is a gramophone player if we are merely sticking to the prarabdha. If we are attached to the prarabdha, we are merely gramophone records. But what is the import of the verse? The simple ones who don't have book learning are far better off, or they don't have anything to be attached to. Whereas these great ones who have learned so many things in the books, and they don't realize that they are merely quoting this or that, they are the ones who are really stuck. Because Bhagavan says, even the magician or the illusionist, he is better off than the one who is doing siddhi. Because the illusionist or magician knows that he is creating an illusion for the others. He himself is not bound by it. Whereas the siddhi, the one with the great knowledge of the scriptures, so section, so and so subsection, once they know and they keep repeating it, they are merely like gramophone records, and they are truly so because they believe that they know that they are right, and they keep arguing that this is the right way, that is not the right way. That we have seen earlier, that these are all points of view and not absolute. All these statements are points of view. So when one sees that, there is a humility and a detachment from one's own statements. We make a statement about, yes, this is how the truth is enunciated, but when somebody presents it in a different manner, but still we can see that that is helping in their sadhana, we are able to immediately say, yeah, it can be put better that way. We are able to agree with them because this is a point of view and that is a point of view which comes through in that example where Bhagavan is coming down the hill and one of the devotees going up the hill, and the devotee says, I have had your darshan. Then Bhagavan says, why don't you say you gave me darshan? The same event can be viewed in two ways, in fact, multiple ways we see. So it is relative, it's only a point of view. We need not be so attached to what we say. I have said Bhagavan's explanation like this. Some other speaker has said in a little different way. One can appreciate that yeah, it may appeal to someone and it has definitely appealed to the speaker. So this is also a point of view, that's also a point of view. What is important is drop the point of view, drop the one who is having the point of view and go to the self. So to sum up this verse, which is actually the essence of this is drawn and put in the Ekashloki, that Ekam Aksharam Hridi Nirantaram Bhasate Swayam Likyate Katam. One of the Telugu devotees, I think, he buys a book from the ashram library, takes ashram bookshop and takes it to Bhagavan, and in all humility asks Bhagavan, at least write one aksharam for me, one letter, one aksharam in your hand, and I will hold that as a great memory. And Bhagavan takes the book and writes Ekam Aksharam Hridi Nirantaram Bhasate Swayam Likyate Katam. The supreme writing, the Spurana, the real Akshara, the indestructible one, is shining by itself, is shining self-luminously without requiring another light. It is shining by itself self-luminously without requiring another light. Ekam Aksharam, indestructible. Ekam Aksharam Hridi Nirantaram, in the heart, continuously, without any gap. The Supreme is shining. The Supreme is shining as I. Likyate Katam. How can it be reduced to any writing? That one, if we feel it can be reduced to one writing, then the whole plethora of books appear before us. They have some meaning. Otherwise, coming in the reverse order, the whole purpose of all the books ever written is only to understand about this Ekam Aksharam, that there is this one letter, there is this one indestructible existence that is shining self-luminously as I. The only purpose of all learning is to know that which is beyond prarabdha. Since it is shining by itself, and since prarabdha is a projection and has to shine in the light of the self, the self-luminous self is free of prarabdha, and to abide in that self beyond all aksharam, beyond all letters, is to be free of prarabdha. Now that is the essence of this verse captured in that Ekashloki. This verse can now be meaningfully summed up. That what is the purpose of all learning? What is the use of all learning? If it has not brought you to that point to learn that all these plethora of books and repetitions are merely the words written on my forehead, and the only purpose of all this learning is to erase the writing on my forehead, which is keeping me bound, by inquiring from where am I? This foolish learned one is born. From whence am I arising? If I fail to find that and do that and be the Aksharam, I am merely a gramophone record. I am merely, suppose I have memorized this whole speech and somebody puts a statement that this could have been presented like this. Immediately I take objection to that. No. This is the only way. What I am saying is the correct thing. When Pandit Lakshman Sharma sees that Ulladu Narpadu has been commented in a way which is not pure Advaita by one of the commentators, and that too during the inverted commas lifetime of Bhagavan, was Bhagavan's lifetime is eternal. He goes and pleads with Bhagavan, you should put a retraction. You should say that this is not correct way of explaining my teachings. And it is happening when you are in the body. Then Bhagavan says, do you feel you can do a better work? Do you feel you can make a better translation or a better meaning, commentary on this? Oh, Lakshman, yes. Then you do it. If somebody has written something as per Ishvara's Ajna, there must be some meaning for it. Why we should do counter for that? If you feel that you can do better, if that is what Ishvara is allowing you to think, why add one more complication to it and counter another person's prarabdha? You stick to your prarabdha, clean and simple, and do that. That is enough. One entanglement at least is freed for you by Guru, and you can clearly see that you are bound to write this. You are bound to be with Bhagavan for 4 years, learn all that. It is his Suvasana, Suprarabdha, if we can put like that, which has brought him to Bhagavan, with those 4 years spent in transcribing, in giving a commentary for the Ulladu Narpadu, is the way in which Pandit Lakshman Sharma has erased his writing on the head. So there, one of the de-entanglements by Guru Kripa, which we are all privileged to learn through the history and the written records, is that Lakshman Sharma learned how to disentangle from commenting on another's prarabdha. It was his prarabdha to write like that. Now, why do you want to say that is good or bad and make another complication in your own prarabdha? So remove that. You feel you can do a better write-up, you do that directly, says Bhagavan. So to sum up, if the primary purpose of learning is not learned to be the removal of the script by inquiring from where I am born, we are merely like gramophone records, repeating what we know. Is this not true, O Arunachala? What else are they? What else are these learned ones except gramophone records? Asks Bhagavan. Now coming to some of the discussions we have had during the week, is that how do we discover the prarabdha practically? That these are my prarabdha karmas. When there is a humility by Guru Kripa and turning inward happens. When the turning inward happens, we can clearly see that it is by Ishvara Ajna that we are allowed to do self-inquiry. And when Ishvara wants to push you into action, you cannot escape. You cannot do anything about it. Now, when I was staying in the Tiruvannamalai house in the 2000, I think it was 2005, 2004 and 2005. Started that period. Atma-vicharam was so clear. I would go to the meditation hall at 4 o'clock, sit and do Atma-vicharam. There would be, as I told, the only thoughts that would come would be work, but that would vanish in Atma-vicharam. Some days, even when a fixed work, where some requirement was there that I should come to Bangalore would have been there, I would have been allowed to do the erasing of it in the Atma-vicharam. I will not take the morning bus, I will be in Tiruvannamalai. Later I will come to know that visit was not required. But interestingly, there would be days when I would not be allowed to sit in the meditation hall. The force to leave Tiruvannamalai and come to Bangalore will be so strong that I cannot sit there. I cannot inquire it out. I cannot ask for whom is this thought. No. Then with the pressure of that thought, I will get up, then somebody would have kept they would have plucked the white flowers from near the Nirvana room. They would have put a whole basket full near Bhagavan Sannidhi. So I will have a look at Bhagavan will allow me to look at that and say, oh, yes, you are doing the right thing. Go to Bangalore. The kindness of Ishvara is so much that when you are at least partly surrendered also, he allows you to see that this force is carrying you. You go. And it would have been necessary to come to all intuitive. There is no prompting by another. On day, he will allow you to do the Atma Vicharam. On another day, it will not be possible. You cannot sit like that. You will have to rise and you will feel that taking the class is very important. And that can be, you can say, aha, this is how the prarabdha is starting. Now, I can offer it back and not be attached to the class. But you can see how prarabdha works when we are inward turns. That there will be thoughts which you cannot put aside. And how deep is this prarabdha? Let us quickly have a look at that. We can go through the discussions during the week in the group for the rest of the things. But how deep is prarabdha itself? When we look at that, it's very interesting. Now that we have done this journey together in Ulladu, Narpadu and Anubandham, and the depth of Bhagavan's teachings allows us to have a peek at this area. For that, we go back to Jnana Bhumikas. The Jnana Bhumikas, as we saw, are the imaginary stages in the Jnana. Because in reality, in Bhagavan's highest state of self alone is, there are no stages in Jnana. But Bhagavan does explain the Jnana Bhumikas in our the Upadesha Manjari with Sadhu Natanananda Swamigal. To recall quickly, the stages are Subhecha, that is seeking self-realization. Subhecha will lead to Vicharana. The Vicharana may be self-inquiry, but it will be Jnana Vicharana. It may lead to Vairagya, or it may lead to the Dhyana and Atma Vichara. But either way, Vicharana will start as soon as one has Subhecha. This Vicharana will lead to Vairagya, the detachment from worldly objects and the mind, which leads to Tanumanasi. The third stage is the mind loses its grip. Because we realize we are only gripping the tree. The tree is not gripping us. The thoughts are not having hold on us. We start realizing that in major areas, and the mind loses its power over the jiva, and that is Tanumanasi stage. And in some parts of talks, Bhagavan says that the Spurana can be felt even in the Tanumanasi stage. The I can be felt even when the vasanas have become weak. Then comes the Sattva Apatti. Sattva Apatti is the turning of the tables. That the identity from Jiva Bhava, that I am the doer, so I am going to be the experiencer, is gone, and one understands the primary driver, that the ordainer is there, and the train engine is carrying the whole train. There the Sattva Apatti, that is identity with the Spurana primarily, is there, but still outward nature is such a person to be involving in sharing his experiences as alien, where a lot of information about the world is also there. But there is an accent on the self being primary, the doer being Ishvara. That is the Brahmavid state or Sattva Apatti state. The next stage is Asamsakti or Brahmavid Vara, or Asamsakti is the detachment. That is the non-doership of the earlier stage is also understood and shared with. But in addition to that, the accentuation of such a Brahmavid Vara will be on non-attachment, on detachment from things. So his teaching will be, or his life will be imbued with how to detach yourself from various things. So that is the Brahmavid Vara. To put it in simple terms, Brahmavid Varya is a Padartha Abhavani. Padartha Abhavani is non-perception of objects. Whatever problems you go to Brahmavidvarya, that does not exist. Why are you worried? And the second quality of Brahmavidvarya is that he does not have any interest to teach anything or share anything. Only on the basis of questions of another, there is response from the Brahmavidvarya. And then there is the Brahmavidvarishta, the Turyaka, to me, Bhagavan clearly, where the transcendent Mauna is the primary mode of teaching. Even when other teachings are there, this Purana is going on. The I is going. So the Mauna is the basis of teaching all the time. The other teachings are resorted to by that teacher or whatever is there inside according to the need of the listener. So it may be whether to put a little bit more salt to chutney, or it may be how to do the same serving of food without doership. Now, therefore, the Bhagavan is asked this question by Swami Natanananda. If everybody in the Jnana Marga knows that Brahmavid Varishta is the highest, why doesn't everybody aspire for that? Why do they stop with Brahmavid or Brahmavidvara or Brahmavidvarya, where the learning is still a lot of world orientation, the teaching with detachment, or complete freedom from perception of objects, only Chidakasha is there. Then not even that, there is no Chidakasha, there is no one perceiving the Chidakasha, there is only the Atma. When this is known, why they don't opt for that transcendence? Bhagavan says, even to be a Brahmavid, one should lose all doership. One should lose all desires for oneself. Then only the Brahmavid or the identity with this Purana is going to take place. Otherwise, you may talk all from books, but there won't be any Anubhava. You will have a lot of suffering, lot of detachment. I have seen in a panel discussion on a teacher, when this question about whether the teacher had lived his teachings came up, one of the panelists said, oh, so what is wrong? He might not have lived his teachings, but he could say the right things. And the whole panel and the whole I was sitting listening. They broke off into a laugh, because how can somebody be called a teacher doesn't live what he is saying? Was the everyone, that poor panelist, that particular day, that particular moment. But that's how it is that if one does not have that anubhava of this Purana, one may talk as though one is a Varishta, but there won't be any substance, because one will not even have the Subecha. Clearly, one might still have a lot of worldly attachments and not freedom from that at all, not even an inkling of that what this side is, but still talk out of the intellectual knowledge of the Varishta state and feel that one is a Varishta. That is the difference between intellectual knowledge and Anubhava. So the Brahmavid stage itself comes only by surrender to the real doer, the Ishvara. We find that Bhagavan answers to Natanananda Swami, who asks why they don't seek. It is not by one's desire that one comes to these points. Till Brahmavid Varishta stage is reached, Prarabdha is there. One can say that it is according to the Prarabdha, it is or according to the less nature of Prarabdha in each of them that they are praised, not otherwise. Bhagavan says, not nothing else. In their jnana, in their thought-free state, in their Purana jnana, there is no difference between Brahmavid, Brahmavidvara, Varishta, Varya. In their jnana, there is no difference. Only in their activities from which they are detached in a, there is difference, says Bhagavan. And therefore, Prarabdha comes right up to Padartha Bhavani. Now, the Prarabdha is not there, says Bhagavan, when individuality is completely gone. That's why Sadhuvam Swamigal and Kanakammal, of course, Kanakammal clearly says, only when the ego is erased completely, one can say Prarabdha is not there. And that is the teaching of Bhagavan. Bhagavan, of course, in many places in talks, uh, gives the support of non-doership to many of the seekers. So when many of the seekers find the dropping of the individuality itself to be very difficult, but they are highly surrendered, then Bhagavan says, it is enough, is it not, if you are a non-doer. But his teachings, his primary teachings is not about non-doership. It is about no other one is there in the self. No other is there. When the first person is erased by self-inquiry, the second person and the third person vanish, and the self alone is there. தன்மை உண்டேல் முன்னிலை படற்கைகள் தாமுளவும் தன்மையின் உண்மையை தானாய்ந்து தன்மையரின் முன்னிலை படற்கை முடிவுட்டு ஒன்றாய் ஒளிரும் தன்மையே தன்னிலைமை தான். That there is only the self which is beyond all prarabdha. There is no beginning, there is no end, there is no. Sri Krishna says, I am the beginning of the whole creation, I am the beginning of all beings, I am their middle and their end. What it really means, whether the creation is there or is not there, the self alone is. That is the stage where prarabdha, the starting point of creation, is reached in self-inquiry, where no creation has taken place. Ajata, nothing has come out of the self. That is where the prarabdha, the beginning, the karmas that can be allotted. Who is there to get allotted? One is merged in that beginningless self. That's why Bhagavan would say, when somebody asks, what is going to happen to me in the next Janma? Bhagavan will say, see, if you are born now, where is he taking? He is taking the seeker beyond the prarabdha, beyond the allotment of starting point karmas. That is the way to erase the writing, says Kanakamal. To inquire, for whom is this thought? Bhagavan may allot us that you will be a Brahmavid only, but we will have that surrender by then, where we will be able to accept with grace. Oh, these works have to be done, had to be done anyway, but now in self-inquiry all that work is merged. Who feels I did that? Let me be like a child who was fed in sleep. The sleep is the understate. The sleep is the substrate. The Jagrat Sushupti is the substrate. Others may say, I took classes on Ulladu Narpadu, I took classes on Ulladu Narpadu, Anubandham. But who is it that feels that he took classes in Ulladu Narpadu, Anubandham and Ulladu Narpadu? எழுத்தை தொலைக்க எண்ண வேண்டும், says Bhagavan. With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit in practice of this erasing of the writing in the forehead for 10 minutes. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana. Shining is the self in all beings. By the immense grace of that self manifest as Bhagavan Ramana, we'll be able to meditate on the verses of Anubandham and also to practice the import through self-inquiry. It is great grace of Bhagavan. And I am reminded of one verse of Muruganar. Keliya mandayir kirum ayan எழுத்து அழிபடும் திறனாயும் அறிஞர்க்கு. So he says Bhagavan is the one who has the capacity to wipe out that எழுத்து which has been referred to, which has been written by Brahma on one's forehead. Talai எழுத்து, we say. And Nandakumarji has shown us through very simple, homely examples, right from cooking up to the knowledge which people have, scriptural knowledge, how everything is amounting only to some kind of nool எழுத்து. And in Aksharamanmalai, Bhagavan says, Noolari Variya Pedayan Yendan Malari Varuttarul Arunachala. He calls himself one who does not have any noolarivu. Because what is the use of this learning is what Bhagavan is asking us in this verse. Very, very simply and strongly. What is it that we are seeking? Are we seeking the removal of all prarabdha, the removal of sorrow? Because prarabdha is sorrow. It brings us experience. Experience is sorrow. Every experience is sorrow. Because that's why Bhagavan says, all thoughts are sorrowful. Prarabdha is that which puts us, which makes us go through life experiences. Do we want to keep on going around in this cycle, or do we want to be free? Every one of us will say we want to be free. But if we hold on to learning, how can we be free? Can the learning itself free us? If it does, then it is fine, says Bhagavan over here. He says, if you have a learning which cannot free you, then of what use is it? We have a proverb in Tamil which says, Ettu soraka karikku udavadu. You see, if you have a picture of a pumpkin on a page, you cannot prepare the vegetable with that picture. If you squeeze the almanac, it will not produce rain. These are all sayings that the learning in itself cannot give us what we want. But it can only point out the method for practicing and abiding. That alone is its purpose. But what happens? Where does it deceive us? Because we want to hold on to the feeling that I know. See, there in Upadesha Saram, Bhagavan begins with the Karturagniya Prapyate Phalam, where he says, points out to us that we are not the doers. We may not be doers. But even when we accept that the doer is the Lord, we still want to think, I am the knower. Till what point does the ego of knowing go on? even when I say that I am a witness to my thoughts, in the earlier verses, that even being a witness to the thoughts, don't even be that. Because there the prarabdha is there. You are accepting prarabdha. You are saying, I will remain a witness to my prarabdha. Prarabdha is unfolding experiences. Prarabdha is bringing some thoughts in front of me. Prarabdha is bringing some experiences in front of me. I will remain untouched by it, but as a witness. What happens? Why do I have to remain as a witness? What do I gain by remaining as a witness to something? I only have the satisfaction of saying, I know all this is happening. That's all. Other than that, what does it give me? So the need to assert that I know is so subtle and it is so strong in us that even if we think that Bhagavan is doing, we may say, you see, we say that Bhagavan is the only doer. He does everything. It is so clear. It is so clear that Bhagavan alone is acting. If we look at the circumstances, is it possible for me to have done this? Very often when we look back at what has happened, maybe we have written something, maybe we have spoken something, maybe we have sung something, maybe we have done something, maybe we have, helped someone in some way, explained something, or we have understood something. Then we wonder, was it possible for me to have done this? And it comes to us quite clearly that I couldn't have done this. This has happened by Bhagavan's power, by Bhagavan's grace, by the Ishvara Shakti. All this has happened and is happening. But where do I come into the picture? I know. Now I am satisfied that I know all this is happening because of Bhagavan. I know that. So that is the Nool Arivu which I am having. I am having that knowledge. All learning, all memory is only Nool Arivu. It is what we have learned. Every thought is only Nool Arivu because it is what we have learned that we remember. And if we have any knowledge of an object, where from is that knowledge coming? Nandakumarji has told us in earlier talks, even a ray of light from the sun is so many years old before it reaches us. What about every thought? Every thought is related only to past experience, that is Nool Arivu. If I do not bring even an iota of past experience into my present moment of awareness, what can I think about? So all thoughts, every thought is only knowledge of a past experience. It may have been something which we read in a book, or as Nandakumarji said, it may be something which we learned with reference to a practical art, like a culinary art or a dance or whatever it is. It may be cycling. But the point is that it is something learned and it is stored in memory and it is recalled. That is what I call learning. If it is not stored in memory, if I forget it, then it is not called learning. So there is no learning. But it gets stored in memory and I am able to recall it. I saw this yesterday and this is what it is. I have seen the color green 5 times and this is what is the color green. Every thought is nothing but learning, coming back to us. I know this is happening. And our mind is giving constant running commentary. This is there, this is what I see, this is what I hear, this is what I am tasting, this is what, with reference to the sense experiences. It is giving a constant running commentary with reference to people, to experiences, to this is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is. That's what our mind is telling us every moment. This is what it is, this is what it is, this is what it is. And how does it tell this is what it is? It says, I know, I have studied it, I have learnt it, I have learnt this is what it is. And beginning with saying that I am Sharada, this is what it is. I have been Sharada all my life. This is what I am. I have been this all my life. So long as we are holding to the past in the form of learning, which Bhagavan calls here Nool Arivu, this Arivu, Ezhuttarivu, that which is written, that which is an imprint. See, the writing Ezhuttu Bhagavan is using because it's an imprint. It is on record. It's not just something which is spoken and forgotten. It is on record. It is put on record. It is imprinted in our minds. All these imprints that we are carrying, are they capable of erasing themselves, erasing the prarabdha, erasing the impressions which are impetus to experience and further action? Are they capable of erasing it? How can they be? Because they belong to the past. Prarabdha is about past, the impact of the past on the present moment. So long as I am relying on the past, so long as I am holding on to the past, how can I expect to be free of the past? I cannot expect to be free of the past, says Bhagavan. So all the imprints on our mind cannot free us from these very impressions, which are resulting in new experiences, which are pushing our mind. The tendencies are coming from these imprints on our mind. This writing on our mind, this writing on the mind is based on the writing or the knowledge that we have gathered from so many, God knows, so many lifetimes. At least in this lifetime, how much of knowledge we have gathered, how much of knowledge we have gathered. Has it been able to free you is a beautiful question which Bhagavan is putting to us over here. And as Nanda Kumarji said, the path of Bhagavan to free, that is the only way we can free, because self-inquiry alone brings us into the absolute now, here and now, because it does not allow us to rely on any thought whatsoever. That is the beauty. He says that even if I have knowledge of various things, any aspect of knowledge, and that is the story, Kanakama would say, that is the story of Arunachala, the legend of Arunachala, when Brahma and Vishnu tried to measure the limitless light of the self, the light of Shiva, which is the light of the self. Vishnu submitted that I am unable to trace the beginning. But Brahma, in one of the versions, says, no, I have seen the end. He gets a false witness. So what is a false witness? This intellect, this knowledge. I know that a meeting is happening right now, a Google meeting is happening right now. The moment I rely on this knowledge that I know a Google meeting is happening right now, then it makes real the one who knows it. That is Sharada. It makes me real. It gives reality to me. It becomes a false witness to my having seen something, to my having seen the truth, seen the ultimate. Because in every moment I am trying to grasp it, I am trying to assert that this entity is the reality. It is true. and I am getting false witnesses for this truth through every piece of knowledge that I gather. Every relationship with an object that I have, I am reinforcing this false identity. That's why Bhagavan pointing out to us over here the danger of relying on learning. The danger, he is telling us, it does not free us. It does not free us. So if freedom is what we seek, then we need to find out who we are. We need to inquire into the truth. It's a beautiful, in gentle way, in a way, but also in a strong way. As Bhagavan is always both gentle and strong, he has reaffirmed this truth for us in this verse. Nandakumarji, I was wondering, is this verse a translation of any other verse, or this is originally Bhagavan, isn't it? So his stamp is there on it. The stamp of inquiry is directly there. Isn't it, sir?
The previous verse is also a translated verse. This is Bhagavan's verse.
This is Bhagavan's verse. That's why it goes directly to inquiry, isn't it? If you do not inquire who has this learning, it says.
Nobody assures Prarabdha arising, except the one in Turiyaga. This only he has to write. Only Bhagavan. And that has to be experienced. That only aham is there. Kannai andri piradu ondrum ariyar. Kannai andri anniyam ondrum ariyar.
Ondrum ariyar. Very beautiful, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana to all.